Yields back, and I recognize Mr. Crane for his 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Rojas, you spent a lot of time embedded on the ground in protests and riots throughout the unrest in 2020, including in Portland, Seattle, Kenosha. While most people in the protest march come with the intent of exercising their First Amendment rights, it seems that there is often a faction intent on taking advantage of the protests to engage in violence. Could you please describe some of the tactics you have seen left-wing groups employ in preparing to confront police?
So the common thing is to first initially arrive and organize it in a peaceful way. That we saw that in Portland. I saw that. They would organize themselves in the park right across from the federal courthouse, but then as time would go on, more and more people would start to try to tear down. They have the fence up by then. They would try to tear down the fence. They would try to start fires. They would try to breach the perimeter. And so I know Congresswoman Clark was bemoaning the response to it, but for what I saw, the federal officers that were protecting the federal courthouse, they only came out after the rioters attacked the courthouse first on those nights.
Did you see anything to indicate that the violence in some of these situations was planned in advance?
Well, absolutely. I mean, they are, again, when we're talking about Portland, they would have people organized to do specific jobs. Sometimes, again, there would be the arsonists. They would have people with umbrellas to try to counteract the 40 millimeter less than lethal projectiles. They would have, because they were using tear gas, the officers, they would have people with leaf blowers to try to blow away and direct the gas back. So they basically had, as you know, basically an MOS, military occupational specialty, during those times.
How did the members of Antifa communicate with each other to coordinate and plan their attacks?
Again, a lot of it's through social media. A lot of it's through just regular phones and encrypted chats. One of the reasons why I personally do not live stream any of the riots that I covered is because they actually even have kind of like a cyber intel unit, because they would watch the live streams, and if somebody wasn't and if there was a live streamer who wasn't aligned with them or who was willing to actually show their violent acts, they would tell the people on the ground that, hey, this person is here, and they would be able to pinpoint where they are based on the live streams. So that it is pretty much that sophisticated.
Can you talk to us real quick about some of the weapons and tools that you've seen used, also tactics employed by these Antifa groups?
So outside of Molotov cocktails, I mean, again, in Portland, there was an actual IED thrown, not just a large grade firework, but an actual improvised explosive device thrown at the federal courthouse. They would use crowbars, hammers, metal pipes, basically anything. Sometimes they would be armed with handguns. I saw that in Kenosha. And so it's a wide range of weaponry, and the reason why they like blunt instruments is because you often see them with backpacks. So they're able to quickly take the hammer or crowbar out of the backpack, do damage or attack somebody with it, and then put it back, and then kind of, since they're all wearing black, then kind of blend in back in the crowd. So it's harder to, if they were caught on video, it's harder to pinpoint who was.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson, is it true that you were a law enforcement officer for a while?
Yes.
Does it bother you as somebody who wants to protect all people to see law enforcement and protection become bipartisan and polarized? Or partisan, I should say.
Well, yeah, law enforcement officers are, I never went to a call and asked somebody what their political registration was before I helped them. They're there to do their job. They're trying to keep communities safe. They don't want to get sucked into the partisan debate. They just want to do their jobs.
Yeah, when you were serving as a law enforcement officer, was that before or after the defund the police movement?
That was before.
That was before.
Correct.
What'd you think about that whole defund the police movement?
I mean, I thought it was asinine. It made no sense. Politically, it made no sense. Logically, it made no sense. I wasn't surprised, but I didn't really make much of it, other than disappointment that it actually manifests in the cutting of some budgets. I thought people had more common sense than to go down that path.
Yeah. Common sense isn't so common, is it?
It depends.
Thank you. I yield back my time.
Gentleman yields back. We'll proceed to, for those interested, we'll proceed to a third round of questioning. I will pass, though, to the ranking member